What's going on, y'all? Let me get this mic together first. What's going on, y'all? Talk quick your mic. Talk to make sure.
Yo, can you hear me?
All right, we good. So you see on that computer, you the bottom line on the top line.
Gotcha. Nope, I'm very quiet.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool. I got it like turned down.
Okay.
For purpose, so I can edit on the back end.
Gotcha.
What's going on, y'all? It is Kenny Cams here, and I have a special guest for this version of the Black Show. One of my brothers, somebody I've known since he's been probably about. I've known you since you about 15.
Mm-hmm.
You know me since you've been about 18 though,
yep.
18, 19.
Yeah,
so how I was initially introduced to Linzy was I was a coach. So Linzy went to my rival high school. He's a King grad.
Okay.
He's a King grad. And I have a torn relationship with King grads because all my best friends when I was in high school went to King. So I was playing against them all the time.
Yep.
Bittersweet. And we used to dog stomp them in football. So I say that. Not after I left, but when we was there. But Linzy was the running back when I was the offensive coordinator at Riverside for 2 years, your junior and senior year. And there's two players from that time that I despised then that I love now is you and Justice. And it was more y'all killed us on the – I didn't like y'all because y'all was just destroying us on the football field. You couldn't slow these little motherfuckers down. But also it was the mentality of the player. Mm-hmm. Like I saw with you and Justice specifically, I got to get him up here too. Very different personalities as people, but the competitor personality of like, you not gonna beat me. And like I'm like, once I saw that, I'm like, I fuck with Lil Dog. Cause I'm like, he had one of them like, I'm not gonna beat me type mentalities. And he beat the shit out of us every time we played him. And then next on the journey, I end up taking 2 years of coaching at Stevens Point. And then I end up coming to coach at Carroll. And I actually know his track coach pretty well, Tania Fisher, who actually runs a run club too. I forgot the name of it right now, which is bad, but I'm going to put it in the link. But Tania is one of my friends. I've known her sister Nene for a long time, too, more King kids. She told me, I asked her, I was like, I got this kid, Linzy Hudson, on my roster as a corner, and I was a DB coach. I was a corner coach. She was like, Linzy probably going to be the best kid you ever going to coach. And that was straight from Tania's mouth of like, she was like, he was one of my favorite players I've ever coached in track. So I'm going to do I did a lot of talking right there, but I wanted to give people kind of the intro of how I know Linzy. And then now, what Linzy's doing, I'll kind of let you give your journey. So, how did the transition from King to Carroll go for you? Because I know the King, you were the man at King in sports wise. So, how did the transition going from kind of being a man at King to going to Carroll, where we both love Carroll, love Coach K, shout out Coach K, and that whole staff over there. But the level of competition was a little bit lower, where you had to kind of automatically come in and produce right away. You didn't have time to grow. You had to be that guy.
Yeah, so I would say originally when I was at King, I had the same mindset going into Carroll of I want to play my freshman year. And it wasn't just like on a freshman team. Like I wanted to be on varsity my freshman year at King. Through different ideologies, they thought, we have a lot of offense up here or we have a lot of defense up here. We don't necessarily need no freshmen to come in and, shake it up. Now, the opportunity I had at Carroll, you got – me coming in, they actually recruited me as a running back, but because me and Keanu Austin, we would go out in the summer to do 7-on-7s. The running back don't get much, much anything in the summer. So you got to kind of prove yourself to the upperclassmen. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go on the defensive side. I was actually playing strong safety, the little Troy Polamalu field, like trying to figure it out. And so they go, oh man, you play strong safety, you're good. And I'm like, I do a little bit. At the time we had this kid named Ristow. He was upperclassman. He was their guy.
Yeah, he was a solid guy.
Yeah,
I saw the film on him.
Nothing I could have done would have got me that spot. Yep. I could have had all the tackles. I could have made all the right plays. He earned and deserved that spot.
Yep, and I think that says a lot about Coach K because Coach K was the coach then.
Yeah.
Coach Mark he is I would say I've coached for a lot of coaches in my college football career. Coach K is the best man I've ever coached for.
Yeah.
The fact that he used to have his daughters and everybody, his family around a team, but the players' response to that were at practice, it wasn't no cussing, it wasn't no inappropriate behavior, none of that. Coach K ran his program how I would dream to run a program. So yeah. I'm okay with giving kids like that's been working. Yeah, that's your spot, bro.
Yeah, and so because it was his spot, now I'm like, I'm kind of thinking where can I get in and make an impact right now. So during fall camp, it's one of those, hey, it's one-on-one time. Let's do a little sideline drill where you got to just jam up the receiver, chase him up, like the stripes. I'm like, all right. So my best bet is to stand in front of the best receiver out here. At the time, it was Kevin Jones.
Yep. That was Kev.
All American, tall. His brother.
PJ, is that PJ's brother?
Yeah.
Okay, my bad. Go ahead.
Yeah. So his brother's the coach at the time, and so I'm like, I gotta put it on him, and I'm the only one going at him. Like I'm like nobody else is like they afraid of him. Like kind of giving him that like heavenly, So I'm like I gotta get him, and I'm a freshman at the time. He's a junior. I'm like all right, I'm finna piece him up.
We could pause it for a second. You can.
It's a commercial.
Very good. And then just pick up where you at, and I can edit it. It ain't gonna even look like you stopped. You'll be all good.
So I'm like, I got to piece Buddy up, right? So long story short, I'm going in all aggressive. I'm like, I'm putting only one hand on him because you go two, it's like basketball. You reach, you get, get that lesson.
Especially in a receiver that was at that level of how good he was.
Yeah. So I'm like, as long as I can get one hand on him, I can run with anybody. If you go back to Boss Lady Tania, like I could run like. I might not be the fastest, but I'm a fast guy. Yeah,
the best way she described it was like, she was like, our relays wouldn't have ran without Linzy. So it made, because y'all had some great sprinters on that team,
sir.
too. Y'all
Keyshawn Davis, Keyshawn Stewart, Mo.
Y'all had some dudes.
Cam. Yeah, like
so I'm like, that was a track team. And shout out to Tania, too, because she knows what she's doing. And her little brother is the coach at Riverside now, too. So he was one of our young guys. We went to state.
Yeah, so what my process was, all right, get hands on him. Right, so I would say out of 5, I may have gotten him twice. Right, real modest as a freshman, stepping up, and they're like, "Who is this guy?" Like one, we didn't recruit him at corner or even at safety.
Yep.
So they moved me like literally maybe 3 to 4 days into camp and was like, "Hey, we need you to go play corner," and I'm like, "Corner." Man, I got zero aspect of what corner is at the time. I got LASIK a couple years ago. Yeah. I can't see.
Yeah, he was blind.
So my process is like, I could play corner, but don't expect me to even look for the ball.
Dog, something you said just made so much goddamn sense. So when I was coaching Linzy, one, corner is I say it's like the island of forgotten toys. It's if you were good at another position and it's somebody else that's really good at that position too, or it's something that's like, strategically they can't make it happen. They want you on the field, they're gonna put you at corner. Like we could teach them. That's why like I was the one with the corners I could teach them. But my one knock on Linzy, and I made fun of him for this so much his career. Linzy couldn't catch for shit. Like he couldn't catch interceptions for shit. But now that why did you tell me that as a player?
Because like the thing is right, as a player, talking to at the time a coach, if I tell you my deficits, what are you gonna do right away?
We gonna work on that shit.
No, bro.
But see, that was you got. It's me as
think
a coach.
Think about it. You were my third or fourth coach.
That's true. That's right? Facts. That's facts.
So every year I have a new coach, and I got to prove to them why I'm here.
That's true. I can respect that.
And so, like as a freshman, I come in and I got to show the program why I'm here. And then now, year after year after year. After our first year, we changed conferences. Yep. So we go 6-4. I'm like, okay, we did a pretty decent job. We didn't win conference, but we were 2-3, right?
Contention, yeah.
Yeah, and so I'm like, maybe if we would have stayed in that conference, maybe it would have been a little bit better.
I think if Carroll would have stayed in that, and I get why they moved now. It's a logistical move. I get that, but we were drastically unmatched in the CCIW.
Oh yeah.
Of just numbers.
Oh yeah, and size
and budget. Like so, when their recruiting budgets are different, but. In the up north private school conference, we'd have probably won a championship that year.
I mean, I would have loved to, right? Because the thing is if I compare Carroll to King, at King we were winning in the city.
Yep.
That's like us winning in that first league we were in.
Yep.
We were winning. We had a good team. We were making good plays. We were losing a game, then coming back to win a game because we had the foundation.
Facts.
But we were in the right environment.
Yep, and y'all were getting kids to college at that time. Like it was. You saw the growth from King's program, 100%.
But then for Carroll, right? When I came in with like the last group of what I would call adults as freshmen, right? Like I'm a pretty small person. Like I'm 5'6", and a half. I take all my inches.
So yeah, take it.
But the thing is, it's like because of my intangibles. My ability to study film, my ability to want to just go be hitting someone,
Yep.
right? I have to be in the play.
Yep.
After me, I mean, we got some quick guys.
Yeah.
We didn't get much size.
Yeah, and that's when I say it's this thing I had. I learned this from a coach, my Stevens Point coach, actually. It's like to be really good, and it's going to be ironic because we actually did have a Daquan on this team. So when I say this, it kind of worked out for real. But I was like, to be really good on defense specifically, you need like equal parts like Daquans and Billies. And like it actually really fucking works for the analogy for Carroll, because Billy was a really, really locked in, studied Billy Krawcheck, locked in, studied. He's probably one of me and Fields. He was one of our favorite safeties to coach, just because we knew Billy was gonna know what the fuck was going on just as well as we were.
Mm-hmm.
But you also need, and Billy was willing to get in there and mix it up and hit too. But you also need some dogs, some dudes that are like, no, I'm here to hit. Like I'm here for the physicality of the game. I'm not here like if a pick comes, cool, all that shit. But you gotta have that. If you had that equal parts in that, you could be great. We had a couple guys, but we didn't have enough Daquans of like guys that was like just dog football. Like you were a dog, Civ, and like we had dogs in that group, but it wasn't enough dogs in that conference. In the other conference, we would have blew through that other conference.
Well, here's my concept on dogs, right? So if I go back to Rufus King, Rufus King, I didn't feel like we had many dogs, right? Like we've had talented players that went on and, they did whatever they wanted to do, in college. I think right now, outside of, the past.
For sure.
Justice is the only guy that was like, whoa, once he got to college.
And he was different in high school, too. You could kind of see he was different. I remember when he was JV freshman coach, or JV quarterback as a freshman. I was like, oh, this kid is different.
And so outside of that, I think it's leadership.
Yeah, true.
And I don't think it's the adults. I think it's what like kids or students do we have as leaders.
True.
Because at Carroll, we lose, you still boozing.
Mm-hmm. It's the culture.
At King, we win every game. We're having a good time, but at the end of the year, when we lose that one playoff game that tarnishes our whole season in our eyes, the next year we're coming back full throttle. Oh no, we can't.
And so the point that you're talking about is like the culture of the team, and like that is a big thing. And I would say MPS has a specific cultures of kids that want to make it, because a lot of our kids at MPS specifically, our sports are legitimately our outlet. And so I think it's the thing with the kids at Carroll, football was a choice.
Oh yeah,
it was a choice for a lot of them. Like, and that's completely understandable. You know what I mean? Like your environment you grew up in, that's what your experience should be. Football is a fun tool, a fun game for you to be with your friends and hang out. But I think a lot of city athletes, and this turns off a lot of city athletes I saw from coaching when they get to these bigger schools and get around these other teams of like, no, we take losses hard because this is like, if you lose, it's in certain situations. If you lose, you may not be going to play college football. Cause you know what I mean? So it's real life consequences. And I do agree that the culture at Carroll was a very loving, great, like you academic, but it's the school that you're at. So you have to have a culture kind of tailored to the school you at. And we have very, very intelligent kids at Carroll.
Oh yeah, and see, and like, I think that's where, like, for me, I had like the hardest connection, because I came from some of my teammates being ineligible to potentially, all of my teammates at Carroll were always eligible.
Yeah, 4.0s and 3.8s.
They never had an issue when it came to academics, but also it was a little bit of a luxury.
Yep.
Because if you never have stress saying, hey, you might lose this spot, or hey, you might not play, right? It's not necessarily even a JUCO feel.
No.
In the city, you have everyone telling you your outlets, unfortunately, are sports.
Yep.
And if you're gonna be, you have to get through sports, and it's the main three, right? Mm-hmm. You get through those sports, you get to a certain point, you still think you're a superstar.
Yep.
You got to know how to play your role.
Yep. And that's the key for kids in college. And I think with this younger generation, they learn it a lot better than even my generation was the worst of this. Of like, and I'll go from my experience at Point. When I came from Riverside, I was all-state, 2-time all-conference. We had just got out of track season where we should have won a state championship. Milwaukee Marshall won, but shout out to Speedy and them. But that was our championship that we lost.
Yeah.
And they won that one. But when I got there, my ego was so fucking big that I was like, man, I'm fucking starting that corner, man. Fuck these white boys. Like, I'm about to get up here. And when I say, shout out Cody Morgan, who was the coach at Kent State, was at the run at North Dakota State for a while. Jake Dickert was my freshman, was my coach, my position coach my freshman year. He's a head coach at Washington State right now. And when I say Jake did this, he's a major time head coach now, but he's gonna be so much higher. I wish they'd have given the Madison job, because when I got there, Jake ego checked me so fast of like, I don't give a fuck where you came from before you was here. Like, what you doing for this team? And that meant with more players get that mentality, like you had that mentality there. Even players that weren't as talentedly gifted as you at Carroll had that mentality of like, fuck what high school was. I'm a pioneer now. I think that's one of the big keys when you're coaching, of like finding those kids. And even if those kids aren't the kids that may be like the most talented kids out the group, put them in position, because I'll go with kids I can trust any day over anybody that runs a 4.4 that's 6'5".
Yeah.
I'm like, I'll put the kid that I put this kid in. It was probably a bad coaching move. We play in North Central. He has a full fucking club on. He is a DB. He got the little one here too. It's okay. He got the little one. So Linzy's doing dad role right now too. So I appreciate his time on this. But Linzy had a full club on North Central game, and I'm in the booth like, I don't know if he could tackle. Or he played the whole fucking game like that against the best team in the country. It was like top 5 in the country at the time. Yep. And I'm like, all right, that's why I go to battle with Linzy. And you and Keanu, I go to battle with y'all any day. Any day. I'm like, y'all my dogs. They're my little brothers. So let's start talking. So now with Linzy, I wanted to give kind of a background of what how me and Linzy met. Now Linzy's kind of new life. He's a teacher. Yes, sir. He's a teacher, but the thing that Linzy is special in, and I when I first knew that he got back in, when he got into this, when we started talking, I was like, bro, this is where you were supposed to be. Linzy is also a really, really talented MMA fighter, kickboxer, jiu-jitsu player, kind of all around. So tell a little bit how you got into that journey of what got you into MMA and kind of what sparked that passion for you.
So I would say it was a three-headed dragon, right? And I'll start with, Carroll. We lost so much, like it was almost like unsatisfying to be on the field, even though I had my successes. Sure. One person having success when it's an 11-person job, yep. You kind of start questioning: are you good at football?
For sure.
Are you supposed to be in this sport still? Like, these are the thoughts you have, right. And then when you have no outlet to actually lean on anybody, how do y'all feel about it? Yeah. Oh man, we're gonna get the next one, and then you lose the next one. Yeah. And then there was we were doing the same thing over and over and over, and you didn't actually progress anything. We went I think 3 for 27 in my last 3 years of college football. Yep. And so I'm like, this is a spanking.
Yeah, and I will say too, again, I don't know if that's a knock on Carroll. That was a conference that's a really, really good football conference.
Oh yeah.
So
and so the questions I get from these players is, while I'm defending them the best I can, while I'm guarding a collegiate high jumper, right? They're asking me, hey, why you at this specific school? Yeah. Not on a situation where they're trying to poach me, but they're like, hey, you deserve better. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm here for academics. I'm an academic person. That's why I'm at Carroll specifically. But then if I run it back to King, right? If we win every game but that last game, you feel really good. You're like, oh, I'm kind of nice at football. Yep. You get that mentality, ego, pride, whatever, of I'm really good at football. You can't tell me otherwise. Mm-hmm. When you win your conference 3 years in a row, and it's largely your fault, in a good way.
And you were the dude. Yeah. So being the dude, because when we game plan to stop Linzy.
Yeah. So I would say I was one of 2 dudes, one of 3 dudes, because we had a quarterback, Colin Sathie.
So what's crazy is Colin Sathie, I know his dad real well. Yes, his dad was my DB coach. Okay. I love Saf, dog. Colin was supposed to be at Riverside.
I'm glad he came to King.
And then he go to German. He to Germantown. Yep. But his dad was our DB. So when we made our run to state, our state run, his dad was our DB coach. Saf is my dog. My dog.
So Sathie is a quarterback that he's young. Mm-hmm. He's just stepping up to the plate. He was supposed to be a baseball kid. Yeah. But he's like, I got 2 people I can get a ball to. plus I can run.
And he was slinging that mug.
And so the person he's throwing the ball to is Keontae Sherrod, who,
savage.
Again, if that's a three-headed monster, you can run it, you can pass it, or you can do it yourself.
And then you throw that boy in on defense, and he was knocking stuff too.
Yeah, so
he was different.
So, like, being able to play both sides of the ball in high school, and then only being able to affect one part of the game and a percentage of that one part once you got to college, and you were only playing on an island, right? Because you said it was like the island of lost toys.
Pretty much, yeah.
So on this island, it's DB Island. You can call it whatever you want. It's Coney Island. It's whatever island you want to call it. It's me and you. We're stranded out here. Yep. It's going to be a long game because they're not going to throw the ball our way.
Yep. If I do my job, ain't nothing going to happen.
Yeah, and the thing is, if I do my job, nothing happens. I get 0 accolades.
Exactly. You're such a cutie.
So me getting 0 accolades at corner.
And that's why I say corner is the most. It's starting to. They get paid good now in the NFL.
That's awesome.
Before you get to the NFL, it's the most underappreciated position in the world. I say, like, our mistakes are on Sports Center.
Yeah, and they're magnified.
Yeah, our successes no one ever knows about.
So the thing is with that, right? Because this is my first, like, I was in college. I almost went through like a freshman, sophomore, junior, senior year of the position alone.
Yep.
I know what football is, but when you get to college and you're like, hey, you're on a new team.
Yep.
You have to bond with these new band of brothers in a new position.
Yep.
And if you fuck up, it's your ass.
Yeah. And it's tougher for black athletes in college. And this is one point nobody discusses that much because, yes, it's if you fuck up, but if another black athlete fucks up on that team, it's directly correlated to you.
Oh, yeah.
And so it seems like it'll be like a racism thing. No, it's more of an experience thing from coaches. Be like, okay, he's hanging with him. Because usually the black players hang together for the most part.
Oh, yeah.
Unless the personalities are very different. Usually,
or they're commuters.
Yeah, or they're commuters. Like, and I want to add this too before I go on that little tangent. Key and Linzy were working while they were paying. I'm like, dog, y'all was working so hard as college. That's why I have so much respect for y'all as men now. Because seeing y'all was working a job, playing a sport, also doing y'all academics. Like, we wasn't doing our academics when we was in school.
Yeah, and so, I mean, the thing is, it's like, for me, when it comes to being able to multitask, like, that comes with how I grew up.
For sure. Right?
And so, like I said, Carroll was one reason why when I found MMA, it was like, because Carroll spoiled team sports for me.
Okay, that makes sense.
Like Justice, when he went to Duluth,
Yep.
he had a really good time. They put him in a system to where he could be the athlete he was at corner.
Yep.
And that was his 12th year playing corner rather than his first year playing corner.
Yep. And I will say, Justice, shout out to Greg Bauer. Justice had one of my mentors in football was his DB coach up there. Greg Bauer is really, really good at understanding and working with city kids.
Yeah.
Of knowing how to put us in position to be the most successful. So Justice walked in. He's a really talented kid, and he walked into a great situation for him.
And then him post-college, going to play semi-pro was never an option for me.
For sure.
Mainly because of how team sports went.
Yep. And you didn't, because Duluth was a winning program. Yep. And that makes sense.
So when I think about wanting to even attempt to go play semi-pro or do you want to go play another team sport where you could build a fan base or you could just hurt yourself?
For sure.
And so hurting myself was never an option. Like, I've never had a real injury. Like, I've had 2 freak accidents in my, like, really entire career.
For sure.
And I was like, okay, so team sports is out because of Carroll.
Yep.
So I contribute my disdain for team sports largely due to Carroll. I love all my teammates.
Yeah, but no, I get it, because it was tough as coaches there. It was tough motivating every week of like, hey, we about to walk in the Wheaton and get dog stomped. It ain't shit that we could do in this room that's gonna help, because it's just the conference we in.
I think my biggest issue is that we were showing up to people's homecoming as a gift.
Dude.
It was hey, spoil their homecoming. Did you see their last 3 weeks?
Fam.
Did you see what they? Okay, cool. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna do my best, and then.
Walking into Elmhurst, bro, was so fucking tough for us because it was homecoming. the coaching staff that me and Tony just left, that was where he started. He was on the fucking wall there.
Yeah.
I get out, we off the bus. I didn't think that they had fraternity. It was some fucking Qs barbecuing right by the. I'm like, dog, that's my dad's fraternity.
Yep.
I'm like, oh, dog, we finna get up here and get stomped. I thought this was finna be like,
Yeah,
we could just get in and get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, so that was phase one of me just like figuring out team sports weren't for me. So I completely walked away from team sports.
Yep.
I kind of was like I'll play an intramural situation or I'll play like a rec league if I have to, but not like by choice.
For sure.
So that was number one. Number two was when I think about what I was good at, sports-wise, football, track, and wrestling were my top three sports, I would say, just through all the ones I tried.
For sure.
With track, it was you can be fast, but you have to work extremely hard to be this much better than another athlete. And maybe or maybe not beat them by 100th of a second, Noah Lyles, right?
Yep, it's any given day for real in track, any given race.
And so when you think about I beat you by a torso and your foot crossed the line, right? Like that's what kind of like it's a dog-eat-dog world, and that's why I kind of hate that he's getting a lot of hate, but he also puts his neck out there for it.
Yeah, and I say with Noah Lyles, like I get what he's doing, and it's more of a fear thing for him, I think, because those young kids with USA Track, are getting a lot of sponsorship dollars. So he has to talk loud so people pay attention to him.
Oh yeah, but you gotta think like,
and he is really good. He's really fast too. I give him that.
You made a point. I don't know if it was on your Facebook or Instagram. You said the younger kids are just starting to inherently get better. Now, I can compare this to when we would go to suburban schools and they're just naturally bigger. They are naturally a little bit stronger, and their system, not their speed, their system is just more developed and nuanced than ours.
Yep. And they know it. They've been doing it for so long that they know the nuance of the system.
That's what this younger generation is bringing to the table.
100%.
And so now when you think about track, it's like, ooh, how long do I have this for?
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And so the other sport I was good at that no one paid attention to was wrestling.
And we didn't even have a program at Carroll.
I blame O'Day, but I'm happy that he wrestled at Carroll, but it was only a club, and then because they were part-time, like it was just a lot of like...
They put the commitment in it. And it's something that I'm actually going to bring... We're going to have another conversation about this, but me and DJ Promise was talking about this.
Okay.
Because they closed down the recording studio... Or at the studio, the broadcast studio, down by the smoothie place, they closed that down too. So Promise is putting together some Carroll alum to kind of come back. Like these kids need this stuff because like without that place, Promise is not where he's at.
Oh yeah.
Without even the little weight room we had in there and the facilities we had, we used the crap out of them. O'Day wouldn't be where he was. You would. So like we got to give back to the generation. I would say that for Carroll because that's an interesting one.
And so when it comes to wrestling, just like AAU basketball or flag football, how you see who can actually play in those seasons, those off seasons.
Yep.
Wrestling's the same way.
For sure.
But the thing with wrestling is it's a different style. Yeah. So during the high school season, it's folk style. During the summer, it's freestyle and Greco. And the one thing I refuse to do is get thrown on my head, like tossed.
Yeah, that's all I showed in the Olympics.
Yeah, so Greco was off limits for me. I was like, I'm not too confident.
Because it's gonna turn into an MMA fight for you. I'm guessing.
100%. Like somebody gotta get hit, right? And so when I think about freestyle, I don't know if it was just me just being young and naive of like, yo, I actually can score a lot. I'm actually really good at pushing the pace.
And your balance is incredible. Yeah.
But my issue was, if I do get taken down, I have to lay there like a starfish. Yeah. And you can't get rolled. You can't get any back exposure. And, like, they didn't fully explain, like, how long you have to lay flat. So that turned it off for me. I did one freestyle tournament. I won it, but then I just never went back because I'm just like, I'm okay.
And I think, especially with your personality, I think you're looking for challenges.
Yeah.
And you're like, if I'm already good at this, like, I want to go to somewhere that can beat me.
Yeah, 100%. You know what I mean? And so... Like, shout out to City Kids. Like, that was where I kind of started.
Nice.
But like I said, I only did one tournament.
Okay.
This is post having, like, a Montel Jackson. This is post having, like, a lot of the other killers they had.
For sure.
But then when we, like, bring it back full circle, the reason why I got to MMA is because of Montel Jackson. Yeah. He's the one that's been calling me since 2016, like, hey, get in the gym. 2016, I'm at Carroll. Like, I'm broke, bruh. Like,
yeah, and y'all was I was so proud of y'all, man. Of like, I knew y'all schedules, so when you're a coach, I basically knew where Linzy was from like 8 in the morning until like 8 or 9 at night, because we get their whole class schedules, and I knew my players, so I usually know their work schedules. I've been like, Keanu was working selling like furniture and
cabinets.
shit. Yeah,
Cabinets
and I'm like, bro, what are you do? Like, so your dad's a trucker. Go do trucking, bro. But he is now. I had Keanu on for an interview too before.
Gotcha.
Early in the podcast. But I was very proud of y'all, because that's a lot to get done, bro.
Yeah, and so like with him telling me, hey, come to the gym. And it wasn't, hey, you're going to be good at this. It was just come to the gym. Here's an invite. The excuse every time was, I don't have the resources, which is a lot of the inner city problem.
Yep, it is, and it's expensive. That's an expensive something to get into. Once you get into it, it's not that much, but that initial kind of investment of buying gloves, buying all that stuff,
and
tough.
Then understanding that he's telling me to get in the gym as a, I got the story as of late when we were in Denver, this past summer. He's like, I don't believe you ever met your full potential in wrestling.
I agree.
Now, Montel's 32, I'm 28. So he's out of high school when I'm in high school. Okay. So he's never... I never thought he saw me wrestle. Yeah. We had a mutual friend, Sharif Soul. We had people in common, but I didn't know he knew me like that. Okay. But he's watching,
Yeah, because if you that level, you notice the guys that are younger than you that are gonna get to that level. You see it. You're like, yeah, okay. It's gonna take some other stuff going on for him. It's gonna take some luck, some bunch of other stuff. But I'm like, he has it. He has the it thing. Though.
Yeah, and so like for me, outside of my family, and like for you guys, family, unfortunately, they feed a lot of like pipe dreams, and they're like, oh man, you're gonna make it to the league. Oh man, you're our guy. Because if you're good at something, you are automatically a pro at something. Yep. And that's not true.
And they want you to be.
100%.
They want that. And like what I realize is a lot of families want that for you, because they may have had the opportunity and lost it. So like, I don't want him to miss this opportunity. So yeah.
And so like that's why I stuck with football so long, because in theory, I wanted to quit football.
You should have probably left. If Carroll had a wrestling program, I would have told you to wrestle.
No, I'm saying I would have quit football in high school.
In high school, really?
Because
that's
my freshman year, I had an argument, a disagreement, I would say, with my coaches.
Yeah, I don't get along with the King coaches. That's why.
No, it's all good. So we on the same side for this one time.
You don't remember your I think it was your junior year. Me and I forgot who your OC was. Literally had an argument in the middle of the field over a penalty.
I believe that.
Where the refs had to be like, no, I'm like, nah, fuck. Like, you know me when I'm cool until I get into my like, no, fuck that. Bro.
Yeah, like, so my process was.
They're good guys. Good guys. I never wanted the good guys. They got a great program. Personality-wise, we don't match.
But yeah, I thought about walking away from football. Okay. Like, I walked away from track. I didn't run it my senior year. Sure. Right? And I did it for me specifically, because I'm just like, for track, it was, bruh, track workouts are hard.
So fucking hard.
And so, like, if I don't see
little, we got little legs, bro. Yeah. Like, we're not built for those running 400 like just to warm up. Like, no, I'm not built for that.
Yeah, and so like because I didn't see a future in track, I was like, all right, probably gonna walk away from this. And so that's why I didn't do it my senior year. And I missed my opportunity to go to state junior year because I went to Germany. Oh. Yeah, so like I was out of track. Like I only ran the beginning of the outdoor season, and then I was like, I'm going to Germany anyway.
Yeah.
But maybe somebody else should have my spot.
But you know what? In a larger scheme of life, that probably did more for going to Germany. Probably did more for you than that track season will have.
Yeah, 100%.
You know what I mean?
And so my coaches at King, Lawden and Kay were just like, you should wrestle off season. I think it's going to make your game that much better. But unfortunately, I would say my ego got to me because Coach K's old. He's an old dude.
Yeah.
And Lawden, me and him at the time could wrestle and it'd be competitive. So I'm like, if I can be competitive with my coach, do I really gotta wrestle in the off season?
Facts.
And so that was, like I said, that was probably the biggest mistake I had, not wrestling.
Yep. And that's why I say AAU basketball is a little different, but like the summer circuits are important because you're competing against the best.
Yeah.
So you actually get to know where you're at in the grand scheme of it. When you get to these like state tournaments where his dad was my old trainer, Colton Weiler. He's like one of the USA young wrestler guys. Like he's in that. But Colton didn't know he was good until he actually went to nationals. You know what I mean? He was like, he was good in Wisconsin, but he didn't know that like you can't compare yourself unless you're actually there. So that makes sense.
And so like with Montel telling me, hey, you should come to MMA, it wasn't until, like, again, I told you, 2016 he was messaging me.
For sure.
And Montel's not the type of guy that's going to, like, overwhelm you with, come.
For sure. He's not sweating you for no reason type.
I kid you not. This man messaged me once a year on the same date. So I don't know if he thought about me on that day or, like, it was like a eureka moment or, like, it was like a memory of him messaging me. Every year on the same date, he would message me, can you come to the gym?
Yep.
Can you get in the gym? And so this happened 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019. And then finally in 2020, after COVID, like I'm graduating in May. Yep. COVID happens in March. He messaged me like, hey, are you getting in the gym or no? Yep. I'm like, bro, this is like the 6th or 7th time you've asked me. This is crazy. But I'm coming into some money, my first real adult job, my first salary.
In that time, you got time emptied out a little bit more than being a student.
So I'm like, yeah, I think I could do this. The summer before I went, when they were on the east side, I went to a class just to kind of see, and I'm like, I like it, but again, money, I can't afford this.
It's expensive, yeah.
Yeah, and so that's where sponsorships come in. But at the time, I still don't know much about sponsorships, right?
And you can't really get those when you're starting.
100%.
You know what I mean? Like you have to put in the work.
You have to
be
show
able to earn
people,
that. Yeah.
It's like, it's not even a test drive. It's, hey, here are all my amenities that I offer.
Yeah.
What you think?
It's a business proposal. That's what it's a business. It's a partnership of like, hey, I can get you this many eyes. Help me out here. That's how it works. Yeah, that's how it works.
Yeah. And so, me starting, September of.
Grab that from her. Yeah, I was like, wait, is that in her head? Yeah, grab that. Here, I'll put that over here. Get that from her immediately.
Yeah, so me starting September of 2020, the COVID year, we had to keep things very like spacious, and we had to we were getting like COVID tests almost every.
It's crazy. That's when I started at Rufus, and that initial like the testing stuff, but keep going. But it was crazy. It was wild testing.
Yeah. So I'm in beginner classes. Yep. I've never been in full transparency. I've never been in a real fight in my entire life. Like. I know a lot of dudes that like had to defend themselves because of X, Y, and Z. I've been into 0 fights, 0 altercations.
Yeah, but that's because Linzy, like, and this is from bro to little bro. Like, it's a personality, like, because I'm very similar. Like, I never really had to fight, and I grew up on Atkinson. Like, I never had to really get in a fight. I grew up right by King. I never had to really fight and stuff like that. But it's your personality type of like, people try people that they think that are victims.
Yeah.
And you don't come off as a victim. Nobody really will try you. But that's why like I like doing MMA because I want to get into a fight. You know what I mean? Like I want to fight somebody. Like let's get that adrenaline rush going a little bit.
Yeah, and so I mean, like it's just like I said, it's just I was in 6 months later. They were like, hey, do you want to take your first fight?
She's good with that. That's just she's fine.
6 months later, they asked me if I want to take my first fight. I'm like, if y'all think I'm ready, let's run it. Because again, me always believing in my coaches. If my coaches tell me one thing, then we gonna run it and we're gonna see how it goes.
Yeah, shout out your coaches too, quick, because I've seen how they work with you. Like
and so
excellent men.
This is Solo. This is Zach. This is Jake. This is Moody. This is the other Josh. Like
for sure,
Coach Courtney. Like there's a lot of coaches behind who I am as a person, and I feel like this is the first time that when I think about the mentors, I think about the safe spaces. I think about, the talks outside of just MMA at me as a person. Once I had my daughter, how they even contributed to that. Like, these are people that I can, like, confide in and let them know as, like, almost therapy.
Yeah, it's true family. I'm like, this true family. And I would say, like, so I don't know Zach well personally, but me and Zach both came up in the Wells Lutheran system.
Okay.
And so Zach went to Wisco with a lot of my friends and played football with, like, if you mention like Joey Melinda and C.L. Whiteside, Zach will know who they were because those were his teammates. But I got character reference from them on him, and it was like, dog, Zach has been A1. He's like, he's the hardest fucking worker you ever met. He's like, he's been A1 from the get-go.
Yeah.
And that's why when I saw you with that team, I'm like, them the type of people Linzy need to be around. Like it's because MMA is a tough sport. It's a lot of personalities. I'm like, but the personalities matter for success.
Oh yeah.
And if you got to get, and all personalities don't, like everybody couldn't get with that camp and be successful. but the people that personalities fit in that camp is gonna be very successful. So like that's why I say it's always shout out your coaches, because I've seen the growth as a man from you of being around them.
Yeah.
Just from the outside looking in. So it made me start going there until I had to move. Like I was like, oh yeah, I gotta come up in here and see what's going on.
Yeah, and I think that's where a lot of it goes when it comes to just me in MMA, having to think about the people around me.
For sure.
Having someone, Montel Jackson, believe in me so much that like he kept asking for me.
Yep.
And once I put like feet on the mat, I stopped wearing socks. Like I used to be a huge sock guy when I was at Carroll. I had over probably 100 pairs of socks that because of game day you want to be all sauced up. I have 9 pairs of socks as of today. Mm-hmm. Like I threw them all out. Like it's my weird niche, but like I threw them all out.
I get it. And then so I want to do a double on this one.
Okay.
So I want to tell this story, but I don't want the episode to get too long, and I want to keep that MMA story. Gotcha. Let's keep that for like one episode on that, because I'm a little lady getting restless. So, y'all, Linzy's a great father, y'all. Like I asked Linzy like my brother, like my little brother. He literally, I tell him, and I'm gonna kind of end the episode surrounded with this, and I'm gonna bring Linzy back in we're gonna really dive into how that mental transition of what MMA did for him personally, because I want to end it on this part. When I was going through some bullshit when I got connected back with Linzy, and by my personal life, getting around them dudes, and that's why I say anybody that has never done MMA, been in the gym, don't be afraid. When you get in, you're not just fighting when you get there. Like Linzy said, everybody goes through beginner classes. Everybody goes through just the boxing, and you learning the stuff. But what it does, it strips down all that materialistic shit in your mind. Like after and Rufus was a little bit different, but Zach, I can't even say Philassis. I can't say Zach's last name, but you know Z. Mm-hmm. He was my main coach, and I'm like, it brings you back to like, it's more of like the best way to describe like a caveman kind of living. Yep. Of like, I don't need a whole lot to be good.
Bare necessity.
Yeah, I'm good. Like, and then you start to interact with different people from different regions, especially being in gyms where you got people coming in and like. You get a better view of the world, and it's no bullshit in gyms. It's true, authentic interactions, because it's a fist fight. You know what I mean? So that's why I want to encourage. That's why main reason I brought Linzy on here. One, I want Linzy to tell his story, because Linzy we didn't even get into the weeds of the stuff we know. And as Linzy get comfortable, I'm gonna bring him a bunch of times. You're gonna be a regular guest now. But to tell his stories, I think a lot of younger athletes need to see like that YouTube journey that people talk. It's not real. It's a process to everything that you do. And I think personally every kid should get in MMA, because MMA is a thing that I've learned that like you can't go from starting to great. You can't. It's any other sport, you can be a 7-foot tall basketball player and be good right away. In MMA, you really have to learn. You have to learn and go through the process and grow in it. And I think that's bigger for like fuck sports. That's bigger for personal growth.
Yeah.
And that's the part where I harp on MMA on, and I like competitive violence. I like agreed upon violence. I'm okay with it.
Yeah, and so like if I finish real quick.
Yeah, you're good.
It's when we talked about being a victim.
Yep.
Right. Never in my life have I was like, oh, I am the target of anybody's mistreatment, or like being a victim is a mindset.
Facts.
And it's similar to being in MMA. If you're in MMA, if you're doing it because you physically have to, it's going to be a scary world every time you walk in. Mm-hmm. You know, the lights are going to be brighter. The noise is going to be louder. The instructions from your coaches are going to be blurred, because that's almost the victim mindset. You're only here because you physically have to. Right. Now, don't get me wrong. There's some guys that were in MMA and that like got up the ladder and are world champions because they were physically have to be in MMA or nothing else would happen.
Yep.
I'm the complete opposite. I don't have to be here.
Yep.
I can live my life and be a teacher and like retire at whatever age I want and like be okay.
Yep.
The fact that I'm choosing to be here, it's a decisive choice. And like I said, like if we talk about the team sports, we talk about, you know, how all the things, like I am choosing to be a part of an individual team.
Yep.
And if I can build a team around me, dude.
I'm telling you. And I'm gonna leave it. This what you just said was described in one phrase from this fight last weekend. Did you see Dan Hooker's fight?
Yeah.
Remember the end of the second round? His coach was talking to him. Dan Hooker wasn't a fight. This was a fight with Gamrot, who was a fucking wrestler that's gonna put. They call him crotch sniffers for a reason. He is shot after shot after shot after shot. He's combining shots. Dan Hooker at the end of that second round, and his coach is talking to him. You can tell he was dissociated a little bit. He looked at this guy and was like, I fucking love this shit, man. Got out of his seat while the other guys still. I'm like, oh, he gonna win this fight because it's a passion, it's a commitment, man. Linzy, my dog, I appreciate you coming up, y'all. Linzy's gonna be a regular guest. I'm gonna try to at least get it either once a week or once every other week as the schedule permits, and especially when you get to close to fight time. Support this man, dog. Like I went to the last fight and I talk cash shit about my boys. I'm like, I'm gonna challenge you. Like I said, you better whoop this nigga ass. Like I bought these tickets, you better whoop his ass. And he did. He beat the dog shit out of him. I feel bad for Buddy halfway through the fight. He was coming back. He like you said, he was off for a long time. He was coming back, so you appreciate the guy giving the fight. But that second knee, when he paused, I was like, they need to stop this thing because he's a little bit overmatched. So Linzy is one to watch, y'all. Shout out to my boy Linzy Hudson, about to be a professional fighter for Pura Vida BJJ MMA. I said it right. Shout out to Solo and Zach, and then, man, I'm going to eventually get in. I'll be putting it off. I'll be saying I'm going to go into the gym like every week, y'all. But at least Linzy see now what I was working on. I had to get this done, so now I can get back in there. But any last? What's your social medias?
So it's Hungry Brown Kid 14, all one word. I have no nickname. It's Z like 26 when you get on there. I'm looking for a nickname. I'm looking for logos. I'm looking for sponsorship deals.
For sure.
But at the end of the day, I'm looking to be a great person. So I post a lot of my personal content that is, hey, here's what I'm doing. I'm sweating 9 times out of 10, or it's my family. So if you want somebody to relate in that aspect, I'm here. If you want somebody for fitness advice,
Run Club,
Run Club, I'm here for it. If you want to get in random hours of training, because somebody made you mad, we can go punch a bag together. Yeah,
and I do want to pub especially for the MMA people that I know that's not really in that bubble but Linzy, they do I don't want to say that every morning I'm supposed to show up. I'll be telling Linzy I'm gonna show up for a lot of shit, y'all. I don't, but I'll be busy. At ADHD kick in, but it's I'm seeing I'm seeing more and more fighters come, and so he does a Run Club in the morning at Shorewood.
Yep, at Shorewood. As of right now, since the school year is starting, we're gonna keep it to just Sundays. That's where we're gonna get our bigger crowd, and then depending on what school I land. We'll probably move it to that school's track and do it during the weeks in the morning as well.
For sure. Hey, I say a lot of people looking for community, looking for good people. That's a place where you can find some good people that'll work hard. You ain't got to be a fighter. You could be a mom, a 40-year-old mom, 50-year-old. I might even get my mom and them to come over there before they go. Like, just go in there and just get around good people, y'all. That's the important part of it, right? Especially how the world is right now.
For sure.
All right, y'all. We out of here. Appreciate it. It's The Black Show. I'm out.